Hey guys, thanks so much for watching Common Sense Culture. I'm James. I hope you're having a wonderful day. So, I don't have very much daylight left, as you can tell, so I have to make this quick. In today's episode, I want to talk about humor. Why humor is a higher form of discourse and not a lower, and why you can't, if you make a joke and someone tries to engage you on that joke, you can't say it's just a joke. Anyway, we'll get into it in just a second. Alright, so it's always bothered me when someone makes a joke about something, especially when, they're obviously trying to be offensive, and then anybody who disagrees or doesn't quite like it tries to engage them. They say, oh, you can't take a joke, man, or just kind of blows it off like, hey, I'm engaging at this lower level of communication. If you're trying to take it higher, that's inappropriate. I'm going to argue that humor is a higher form of discourse. So you have to master the lower forms of discourse, the ability to argue, the ability to understand how things work before you can condense that into a joke, until you can condense that into maybe something that's offensive, something that pokes, something that points out the flaws in the way that we do things. That's what humor is for. Comedians are meant to be on the outskirts. They are meant to look at society and see, what's inconsistent and then be able to point it out. Now, where the problem is if, those who are within society try to engage that, then they say, oh, you're not supposed to engage me on a higher level. You're supposed to understand that this is a joke. Obviously, you're just stupid if you can't take a joke, or whatever it is. Just this dismissiveness about those who want to engage you. Well, the fact is, you are engaging if you're using humor and engaging in a higher form of discourse. It is a more condensed, more breaking down of things, and more focused view. And the thing is, you should not be making a joke unless you understand what you are pointing out, unless you understand why what is being pointed out is wrong. And so, maybe some people don't get the joke. Okay, that's fine. They are not reaching that level that you are trying to, supposedly, there's this higher level that you are seeing things and you are pointing out the ridiculousness, whatever it is, you're pointing something out. Well, you had better have thought through all of that, all the process up to the point of making the joke. And we our whole culture, I just recently started a Facebook again, and I'm realizing again, it's all based on memes. It's all based on, if we feel like, oh, this is pointing out something that's wrong, hey, this is pointing out something against liberals, or hey, this is pointing out something against conservatives, this is pointing out something against the people that I don't like. I'm connecting with the fact that this is making a joke out of them, and so I'm going to share it. Well, you, by doing that, are engaging in a higher form of discourse. And if you have not done the work to develop your thought process up to that level, you should not be making jokes. You should not be discoursing at a higher level, the level of humor, until you have, really developed the thought up to that point. Now, there is an exception. Within Orthodoxy, there is the holy fool, or the fool for Christ. There are certain people who make a spectacle of themselves, usually because God has granted them a tremendous amount of grace. They are very holy people, which is a dangerous position to be in. When you are very holy, you are prone to pride, which is the most destructive thing of all. The holier you are, the more grace you have to overcome sins, to live a life detached from sin, the more prone you are to fall into pride, which can just completely take away all the benefits of not sinning. It can completely destroy. So there are certain people who are granted this tremendous amount of grace, and in order to keep their humility, they humble themselves by being a spectacle in front of people. So oftentimes their life becomes a joke. Their life becomes a joke that points out the problems of society. And when society revolts, sometimes they are martyred, and sometimes they don't respond, they don't give an explanation, but they just accept that that is their cross to bear, that, instead of explaining, they are going to take the consequences. And so that's the thing, if you want to point out the faults of other people, if you want to be the jokester, the person who points out what's wrong, everybody wants to be a jokester. We live in clown world. Everybody wants to be the clown. Everybody wants to be the jester that points out the faults in people that we disagree with. The problem is you are taking on a role that is probably higher than you can handle. So when people push back, you either need to accept the martyrdom, meaning you're not making any excuses, you are allowing yourself to be understood to be insane, to be, even to the point of death, to just, to be the fool that points things out and then becomes a martyr for that thing, and then maybe transforms a whole nation. And that has happened throughout history. That has happened through church history. Or maybe you are a prophet. Maybe you do have something to tell. Maybe you do understand why something is foolish, and so you make a joke. And so as the clown, the comedian, the jester, you point out the faults. But the thing is, at that point, if someone comes back and pushes back against you, you either need to take it as a martyr and not make an explanation for yourself, not say, oh, it's just a joke, you don't you can't take a joke, that's you're stupid, not do that, or you can explain yourself, say, go into the deeper understanding, go into why it's a foolish thing, why it's a problematic thing that you're pointing out. If you don't understand that well enough to talk about it, then don't make the joke. That's the thing. Humor, the clown, the jokester is on the outskirts. It is, and it's a higher level of communication. So I don't know. Just think about that. And I mean, me too. I'm part of this culture too, and I've been impacted by it too. We are all clowns. We're all jesters. We all think that we have the right to live on this higher level without having to explain ourselves. And most of that has to do with secularism. We're all secularists in this time. But maybe just think about that. The next time you make a joke, if someone pushes back, either be a martyr for that, which is unlikely. There are very few fools for Christ. The holy fool, it's a very rare thing, but some people are, and that's the reason why it's very difficult to judge. Sometimes there are certain Orthodox Christians that are very insulting, that they're only just become Orthodox, but they're trying to engage and calling people idiots and all these things. They're kind of making themselves out to be fools, and I want to immediately put them off and say, oh, they can't, they're wrong, they shouldn't be acting that way. Well, in reality, there's a place for that, and maybe they're wrong, maybe they're right, maybe they hold that place. So it makes it very difficult to judge, which of course is a good thing, because that's what most of us need for our salvation, is to not judge. Anyway, I'm obviously losing some daylight, so probably should close this out. I just wanted to kind of open some discussion on this. If you like this, click the thumbs up. If you don't, please, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. We can engage in further discussion on this. Click the subscribe button. You can always unsubscribe later if you don't like my content. But, maybe give me a chance. Hear me out. Maybe I have some interesting things to say, to show, all that. You have a wonderful rest of your day. God bless.